So most people are asking the wrong question about the AI opportunities right now. They're asking things like, how do I build AI agents, or what tools should I learn, or things like, will AI take my job? But that's essentially like standing in 1995 and asking, how do I build a website? Because really what we're missing is the real shift about what is about to happen. So today I want to share a clear prediction of how work is actually going to change, not the hype version, the structural, genuine version. So most importantly, what an ordinary person like you and I can essentially do about it. So this is not kind of sci-fi, it's the logical next step of what's actually starting, because I think some people can get super intimidated by the world of AI. So I'm going to walk you through 9 simple shifts, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why most knowledge work will no longer be done by humans, and why the money will follow a completely different curve, and why the people who win will actually not be the best AI builders. Okay, let's start. Let's get into it. So agents replace the first draft of almost everything. So that's the first shift here. Most knowledge work will not be done, or rather will be done by agents, not by humans. So that's like the spreadsheet, the report, the draft, the code, the email, the sales pitch. The first draft, the presentation, the analysis, the contract review, that'll all be done by AI agents, not assisted by, but done fully by the agents. So companies will start paying for these agents the same way, believe it or not, that they pay salaries today. So monthly, recurring per seat, or per work done for execution. So think of it like this. Today, a company hires an analyst for, $80,000, for example, a month. Tomorrow, they'll hire an agency for $25,000 a month. So basically, they'll have that cost saving. 70 to 80% of that work will be done, and a human will essentially just supervise 3 or 4 of these agents. So the unit of work is essentially changing from a person to an agent plus a human oversight. So it's not just agents. Like, don't fall into the trap of thinking like, companies will be entirely automated. Not at all. It'll be an agent plus, multiple agents plus someone overseeing. That's the gap in the window of opportunity, by the way, if you become super good at managing them. You don't have to build them. All right, points 3 and 4, let's keep moving on. The real product is trust, not capability. So here's the part most people are essentially missing. Raw AI capability will become, cheap and essentially everywhere, almost free and almost perfect at the baseline. So what will make one agent more valuable than another is what its human owner feeds it, the actual inputs from the human. That's the opportunity for you and I. So their data, their judgment, their relationship, their reputation is all coming from the human. The AI agent will essentially just do what it's told. So a chartered accountant's agent is not valuable because of the underlying model. It's valuable because of 20 years of that chartered accountant's tax judgment sitting inside it. A salesperson's agent is valuable because of their network and the trust they build with clients over a decade. So companies will still pay a lot of money, but they will pay for accountability, not just capability. That's the important thing here. So the human who says basically, I stand behind this agent's work, becomes the actual product. So accountability will be scarce and capability will be abundant. So in essence, we'll become accountable for the agents that are working for us, because it'll land on us, because everybody will have multiple agents working for them. All right, point 5 is income follows the creator economy curve. So this is a big one. Income will no longer follow a salary curve. It'll follow a power law curve, basically the same curve we see in YouTube and Instagram and the creator economy today, believe it or not. So a small number of people will actually build agent empires. They will own fleets of highly specialized agents earning extraordinarily well, and they'll employ other humans who manage those agents. So a larger middle class will earn well in narrow niches, the same way a good local YouTuber, domestic YouTuber or specialist consultant earns today. So it'll be comfortable but not crazy, and most people will earn only a little. This is not essentially, it's not a moral statement, it's a structural one. When the cost of producing baseline knowledge work collapses, the distribution of income becomes much more extreme. All right, point number 6 is governments will have to respond. So because most people will earn only a little from the new system, governments will be forced to basically to be involved in the agent economy and to redistribute those funds. Call it universal basic income or whatever way it's going to be called. Something similar. We've heard Elon Musk talking about it recently, which is, arguably means it's quite plausible, maybe not. But the speed of goods and services production will far outstrip the speed of money supply. So money can be printed and given to everyone in abundance without essentially creating the inflation that we fear today. So either way, the social contract will have to change. the old model of most people earn a salary and live decently will probably no longer hold true by itself. This is super interesting and also opens up a ton of opportunities. In a previous video of mine, I spoke about, the 26 different opportunities that now are being generated by the world of AI, and a huge amount of them are in like IRL opportunities. So the fact that, for example, there's a universal basic income potentially coming to the US in the next 5 to 10 years, that'll mean it'll free up endless leisure time and entertainment time for people. And then there's the opportunity to sell those services to those folks. All right, point number 7. The new nature of work. So people will of course still work, but the shape of work completely changes. So you stop being the worker, essentially. You become the trainer, the editor, the quality controller of your agent. So you work on the machine, not in it. Now your daily job essentially becomes feeding better judgment into the agent, reviewing the edge cases, building relationships that the agent can't, and then taking responsibility when something goes wrong. That's actually quite exciting. The potential to build human relationships is going to become even more important and get us all back out there in the real world. So the people who still try to do the work themselves will look like someone insisting on writing every email by hand in 2015, like someone who insists on literally writing handwritten letters. Point number 8, the winners are not the best builders. This is the most important mental model in the entire video. So the winners will not be the best builders of agents by any stretch. Building will essentially become it'll become super easy. The tools will get better every single month, and the barrier to creating a functional agent will just collapse. It'll continue to fall to a point where it's ridiculously easy. The winners will be the people who have something real to put inside the agent, who take their expertise and they give it to the agent. So rare knowledge, rare data, rare trust, or real distribution, and relationships at the core of it. So again, let's summarize. Like, everybody will essentially have multiple agents working for them. Your tangible value within that is becoming the person who is able to stand over those agents and be accountable for them. How do you become accountable for them? Well, you make sure you're feeding them in the right insights, the right data, the right prompts at the initiation point, and that you're spot checking the edge cases. You're really reviewing everything thereafter. You're understanding the anomaly cases that the AI agent can't really clarify themselves. And then you're putting your name and reputation to that work. A little bit like if you're in a traditional legal office and you have 10 paralegals working underneath you. You're a super senior director, but ultimately it doesn't matter in a case if a piece of paper comes through you and has an error in it. You're the one responsible. The same process, exact same principle and mentality is going to apply with AI agents. So AI essentially just multiplies what you already have. So if you have zero rare knowledge, zero trust, and zero distribution, then AI multiplies that zero. You still get nada. Okay, this is where essentially learning to prompt or learning to build agents is incomplete advice. So point number 9, the practical advice and the final shift. Okay, so anything tagged with kind of real humans will ultimately become premium. So what I mean by that is what I mentioned earlier: travel, food, work, relationships, counseling advice, teaching, surgery, tailoring, construction. The more the world fills with perfect synthetic output, the more value shifts to the authentic and the accountable. So the more that everything digital becomes commoditized, the more service-based things become commoditized, the more even making an audio phone call to book something becomes commoditized. Tangible physical things in the real world are going to become drastically more valuable, but experiential and sense and feeling and belonging are really what people are craving. So that is where the opportunity is. If you were young and thinking about what area to pivot in, or if you're in your 40s and 50s, you're thinking, where do I want to stretch into for the next 30 years? I don't want to be in corporate, or I don't want to be grinding away on what I'm currently doing. Then my big advice would be check out Greg Eisenberg's 26 business idea list. I've done a video on it. It's incredible to give you ideas about where the economies are going in the Western Hemisphere, in tier 1 countries like the US, Canada, Australia, the UK, etc., in terms of the opportunity. So here's a practical advice essentially for an ordinary person: is don't obsess over learning building agents, because it's like people who are obsessing, absolutely breaking their backs learning how to use N8 6 months ago. It's gone. I mean, I actually felt crazy guilty that I didn't know how to use it. I felt like an absolute idiot. And now the people who put the time into it, it's not even arguable that there was a good value to the principle-based learning. It's not like they learned to code and you could argue there's a great principle foundation, structure that they embedded into their kind of thought DNA. It's not at all. It's just essentially gone. So that's an important thing to bear in mind as well, is like, when you're learning AI, like, learn the principles like this, like the concepts, rather than the technical. Of course, get in, do light level learning, but don't become beholden to a single tool, because it might go offline, like when Claude Fable 5 went offline, 4 weeks ago by the US government when they pulled it, or, a tool might just become outdated because of a different launch. So that's an important thing, is to stay on the top level servers. And I mean, touch it frequently, like learn frequently, learn relentlessly, but don't spend hours and endless hours trying to learn one single tool, because it probably will just be, it'll essentially, a new version will come out and you'll be able to just give it a one-line prompt and that will deliver it in simple terms. Okay, so become excellent at something narrow, something super niche and something real. For example, the tailoring, the surgery, the teaching, the sales, the tennis coaching, the paddle coaching, whatever it is, the specific domain expertise that took years to develop, and then bottle that excellence. The agent essentially is the bottle. You are the wine. Talk about a cheesy analogy. Your job is not to become the better bottle maker. It's to become the better wine. My God, horrific analogy, but you get the point. Anyway, closing call basically is, let me summarize the entire prediction in one paragraph. Most knowledge work moves to agents. Companies will be paying for agents. The way they pay salaries currently, the value shifts from raw capability to the human judgment, the data, and the accountability behind the agent. So income will follow a power law curve. In essence, governments will step in to redistribute wealth to create a universal basic income, and work becomes training and overseeing agents. So winners are the people with the rare real world experience, not the best AI technicians. And kind of the made by real humans concept becomes a premium category. And if this felt useful, I would say do 3 things. Talk to someone else who's thinking about kind of practicing AI and get them thinking about it. Secondly, think about what you can do from a future standpoint in terms of future-proofing your usefulness, whether it's like doubling down on relationships, whether it's becoming super niche expert in some field, or even just learning how to apply your knowledge into AI. And then the third thing is, make sure that you're becoming omnipresent and touching on multiple different tools. Use Grok, use Claude, use Kimi K3, use DeepSeek, use ChatGPT, touch them all, understand the variances between them, because it's going to be so vital to become, I guess, skilled across multiple of them, because of the fact that AI agents are going to become abundant and everywhere, and don't become stuck to one single tool.